Bismillah, wa salatu wa salam, Rasulullah, wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon his last and final messenger, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes. Welcome back to the features. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a hell of a lot of haters up in here, and I hope that your fasting is going well, and may Allah reward you and all of your families. And mean, and let's get down to the nitty gritty. So, family, sometimes people will be asking me, especially, on my social media or whatnot, they'll ask you, like, why are you always talking about white supremacy? Why are you always talking about white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy? Why are you always talking about that? Why are you always talking about this race stuff, this race stuff? You know, they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. And the reason why they're uncomfortable, because they understand how devilish it is. They understand, see, their conscience will not allow them to harmonize white supremacy with their morality. So, white supremacy is, in fact, the dominant reason why there are so many issues in the world today. It is because of global white supremacy. Because of that, we're seeing it on full display everywhere. Okay, you're seeing it in Europe, you're seeing it in South America, you're seeing it in USA. The mask is off now. We are seeing now countries in Africa, like in the Sahel. You have Mali, you have Burkina Faso, you have Niger, all these countries in French Africa coming together, kicking out the French, and the French are in full panic mode. You have Italians in full panic mode. Okay, that's why all these countries are becoming fascist, because they're trying to solidify their previous dominance. So in order to do that, as they do this type of divide and conquer strategies, these destroy everything, just burn everything to the ground, right, and then rebuild. That's how the white supremacist is, and we're seeing it here in the West, right? And the most comical out of all of these white supremacists is, as we all know, Donald Trump, and all of those who follow him and all of those who support him. Now, Donald Trump, he himself has an entire team of ideologues who write policy for him, who tell him exactly what to do in order for him to, basically hastily push through what policy is. And there's a big difference between policy and public relations, which we'll do another live about that sometime this week, inshallah. Okay. It's a massive difference. Public relations and policy are not the same thing. They win because of public relations, and they win because they have a big money behind the propaganda machine, which is MAGA. Okay. However, this system now has been going on for 500 years. And, well, almost 500, but you can say between 400 to 500 years, okay? The system of white supremacy. And what we know from those of us who read the Quran, we know that Allah puts an idda. If you know what idda means, just put it in the chat, please. The meaning of idda. He gives the oppressor class an idda. Okay? He gives people who are arrogant and haughty and dictators and aristocrats, these type of folks, the folks who make people's lives hell, he gives them an idda, right? So I'll wait for y'all to put the meaning of the word idda in the chat. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It is a period or a time. He gives them a time period. So with just like Pharaoh, he had a time period. He was at the end of the time period. Pharaoh himself did not make that entire system that the Beni Israel was subject to. It was built up over time, where you had a whole people who were enslaved under an oppressive regime, and Pharaoh was the last of these, last of the long line of oppressors. If you look at Ad, if you look at Thamud, all of these great civilizations, right? And Allah, He mentions these folks in the Quran as well. That if you look at them, you will see what they built throughout the land and things of this nature. Yeah, you know. So, anyways, the point is, Allah has put for all at the end of all of these civilizations, He sends them very clear signs for them to return and repent. And He has mentioned some of these great civilizations in the Quran, these ones that were destroyed. But there's always some sort of sign for them to turn things around, to turn back and become righteous. So for Pharaoh, for example, he was sent Moses, Musa alayhi salam. And Musa was strengthened by his brother Aaron, Harun. And they went to Pharaoh and they advised him. And they advised him with a clear, advice, like very clear, in a manner that is, acceptable for somebody of the status of Pharaoh. Moses was in the house of Pharaoh. And they had a relationship, a type of respect between them. So even inside the house of Pharaoh, you had this advisor to Moses, to Musa alayhi salam, from inside the house. And what is Pharaoh known as? He's known as somebody who is arrogant, who is haughty. He's somebody who said, Ana Rabbukum Ala. He said, I am your Lord, the Most High, in the Quran. He said this in the Quran. Right? He believed that the people of Israel, they had no other God but him, right? And he said, I am your Lord, the Most High. Arrogance. And from the signs of arrogance is the inability, not just the inability to admit that you made a mistake, but to pass off mistakes made on some other folk. So Pharaoh got a mention in the Quran. And Allah mentions that we sent him ayat, we sent him signs, clear signs, in order so that he would not have an excuse, before Allah. These clear signs now were sent not just to this is like a message from Allah in the Quran, but Allah sends clear signs for every single oppressor for them to turn back. And every oppressor has the same type of this type of pharaonic methodology. White supremacists are not any different, nor are their accomplices. They're not any different in the least. When it comes to the white supremacists, outrageously arrogant, outrageously arrogant, over the top arrogance. They're accomplices. And there's a special type of arrogance that comes with white supremacy that we haven't seen anywhere else. Where Pharaoh, he knew that he was an oppressor, but he thought he had the right to oppress because he believed that he was a god on earth. That's what he believed. The white supremacists, they're the same way. However, they stretch it even further. The white supremacists, what they will do is not only do they believe that they are the gods on the earth, baby white Jesus or whatnot, or you have your Zionists outright telling the world that they are the children of God. They are the children of God. They're saying that. These Zionists out here committing every single evil act that you can possibly think of. And not just doing it like behind doors, not doing it openly, very openly. They don't just do that, but they say they have the right to do it because they are the children of God. So if they can do all that, then what is left for the devil to do? What is devilish to these children of God? You cannot think of an evil that they will not do. And as a matter of fact, since we're on this topic, I know it's a little bit on the other side, but let's talk about it for a minute. Family, I'm going to ask y'all, which people ended up in control of hip hop? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Which people ended up in control of Black entertainment? Put it in the chat. Who are the folks that produce and control the Black entertainment industry in Hollywood, in music, in sports? Who are these people that are running all of this? Thank you. It's your young lion. It's the Ashkenazi. It's the Ashkenazi. It's these children of God. They own and control all of these tools in order to propagandize a certain type of behavior that they can extract out of Black folk to monetize the demise of Black folk and to continue the self-destruction of Black folk. But not only that, one more question. We know what they control in terms of hip hop. We know what they control. Like we already. This is like not news, actually. This is not news. Okay, hip hop started out as a grassroots type thing, and here come the children of God coming over, taking over, introducing gangster rap, so that they can have a double income, one from the entertainment and one from private prisons. Okay, children of God. Okay, we mentioned this when it concerns Black people. Okay, there's one more thing we didn't mention though, and that is, do you guys know who controls the corn industry? Because we're trying to say monetize. Who controls the corn industry? Not the corn you eat. Just replace the C with a P, okay? Who controls that? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Who controls that? And as a matter of fact, this was one of the big contentions of certain people in World War II. Thank you. Exactly. Same people. Exactly, the same people. One of the things is we try to remain monetized here, but you can just imagine the initials AH. One of the things that he did was he illegalized the back then the corn industry back then, because a certain group of people was controlling it. And this is one of the weapons that they use in order to destroy societies. They've done it in South Africa. They've done it in parts of South America. Okay, where they introduced this hyper sexualized content. Obviously, they did it in the descendants of slaves. They're very clear. Hyper sexualized content, in order to dismantle entire societies. It's a part of psychological warfare. One second, family. There we go. All right. So why are we saying all this? We're saying all this because, again, the signs have been coming in like year after year, and they're coming in with the quickness, right? We even seen last year, we seen fire, we seen heat waves, all kind of craziness. Allah sending signs to these folks. Okay. But not only that, from the speech of the people is the sign as well. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallam, he mentioned that when you find people who are not deserving of position, then wait for the hour. We also mentioned that when the liar is seen as truthful and the truthful is seen as a liar, then wait for the hour. So the destruction is absolutely imminent. There's no reversing it. All there is now is either those who are doing wrong can make tawbah. Those who are doing wrong can make tawbah. And maybe Allah can forgive them. Allah can forgive them. Actually, there's nobody that Allah can't forgive. But rather, the forgiveness has conditions, which is why over here on this side, we tell y'all never, ever, 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 ever just give your enemy unconditional forgiveness. This is a trick. This is a plot. Okay. This is a trap from Shaitan. Okay. Unconditional forgiveness. Does Allah give unconditional forgiveness? Or does his forgiveness have conditions? This is something that they use, especially against Black people, as a type of spiritual and psychological warfare to make them habitually and consistently uh what you call it, give up their power to their enemies. They've been doing it since slavery. Slaves, obey your masters. Okay, love your enemies, turn the other cheek, all this kind of craziness, all kind of madness. So they have one type of Jesus for themselves. Remember, we said, like I said, they see themselves as God. They see themselves as to be worshipped. They see themselves, in that position. But not only that, it's not only that, they take it a step further that nobody else has ever taken before, which I was getting to. The step further is that they blame the victims of their oppression on the victims of their oppression. And they attribute that oppression as a punishment from God himself. That God is the one who said that you must be perpetually enslaved. And God is the one that said that you will be a servant of servants unto your brothers. They took it a step that nobody else before them took it. You get it? And on top of that, you find other folks, because they want to get in good with Pharaoh in them, they want to get in good with Ad and Thamud in them, because of the biscuits, the bones and biscuits. Their currency is in blood, death, and oppression. It's codified in that. And because it is codified in that, they have no problems siding with Allah's enemies on earth. And Allah's judgment is crystal clear. The difference between our times and ancient times is that when Allah chose to destroy a nation, he would just do it. He would just do it. But we're talking about the Iddah. We're talking about the Iddah. So he gives every nation an Iddah. And the Iddah of white supremacy is reaching its end. However, Allah's judgment on earth now is codified and written in the Quran itself. And the people who are implementing Allah's punishment, or Allah's judgment rather, are those people who are implementing the Quran and the Sunnah. Those people are implementing the Quran and the Sunnah. Those are the ones, at the end of the day, they are the ones who will be implementing the criterion, the Furqan, on the people when Allah's judgment comes. Now, family, let me ask y'all. The fastest the fastest growing religion on earth is what? What is the fastest growing religion on earth right now? I mean, everybody knows the answer to this. It is very well documented. Okay, what is the fastest growing religion on earth? And from that fastest growing religion, in the Western context, I can't speak for anybody else. I know in Africa is spreading like crazy. In Europe, it's spreading like crazy. But over here in the West, okay, out of all the converts, which demographic is accepting Islam, which is the correct answer, more than any other people, faster than more than any other people? Which demographic is it? Which demographic is it? Out of all people, who is accepting this religion more than anybody else. Yeah, we talked about this last live, I believe. And anybody can look this up anyways. Right? Again, it's not like exactly. It's black people. It's black people. Okay? So the same folks whose names were changed, whose religion was changed, whose God was taken away from them, whose language was taken away from them, whose children, whose mothers, whose fathers, all of that was taken away from them, whose very essence of humanity was taken away from them, are returning back to the only proven, not just proven, but the only way to success in this life and the hereafter, which is Islam. Is this a coincidence? Is this a coincidence, or is this from the promise of Allah himself that he answers the dua of the oppressed, that he does not love the oppressor, that his justice is righteous, he is al-adl, he is the most just, he is al-hakim, he is the wise. There's no way that this is a coincidence. So what you are seeing now is, in real time, is the most epic spiritual battle that we ever even heard of in history. Okay? On one side, you have the Christian right. The Christian right has nothing to do with Christ and nothing to do with his message. What it is a totally bastardized religion, which they want to turn into a theocracy, maintaining that in this theocracy, white Christians, not only must they run everything, but is their divine right to oppress other peoples on the earth. Pharaoh, when he was in power, did he not slaughter the boys of Beni Israel? Did he not do that? These folks, these white supremacists, do they not do every single type of trick through murder, through exonerating our murderers? You've probably seen recently where Elon Musk called for the exoneration of Derek Chauvin, the murderer of George Floyd. But not only that, how many of our murderers have walked? You're talking about the same type of devilish system, but they are doing it now in the name of Jesus. They're saying that Jesus, is the one that's, they want a biblical type of estates and things of this nature. They want to go back to theocracy, and in order to prop up white supremacy. Okay, that's what they're saying. Okay. Meanwhile, they have all the power, they have all the wealth, they control all the politics, they control the legal system, they control the propaganda apparatus, and on top of that, they usurped even more control over the propaganda apparatus by essentially capturing the three major propaganda apparatus of our time. Before it was, mainstream media. Now it is social media, and they captured it. Okay, they captured Google with Sundar Pichai. Google owns YouTube. They've captured Mark Zuckerberg, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and of course, we all know about Elon Musk, who owns X, formerly known as Twitter. So you can't go anywhere now except that you'll be subject to their propaganda apparatus. They control all of that. And on the other hand, you have the poor, the destitute, the oppressed, the downtrodden, the ones who nobody wants and nobody likes. They like everything that we produce, okay? They're willing to steal our culture, our dance, our inventions, our brain power. They're willing to steal all of that. But at the same time, they want to make sure that we are permanently and perpetually in a state of servitude. And always on the bottom of this race totem pole, okay? Always, forever on the bottom. Those downtrodden ones are coming and returning to Allah. And those who are in power hate Allah. You see that? That is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. Those who are in power, whether it is the structure of white supremacy or the Zionist, or even you can go as far as Hindutva, because Hindutva was white supremacy before white supremacy even existed, right? You're talking about Hinduism. That was white supremacy before white supremacy existed. And a lot of the same type of beliefs that they have is carried over through modern day white supremacy. But anyways, those people now who supported the white supremacist system, right, are now feeling a hella regret. Knowing full and well it was evil from the beginning. You cannot support a system like that without understanding the evil that you're getting into. Just like Zionism. It's just like Zionism. You know very well how Zionism is evil. It's wicked. But you justify it by hiding under, we are the children of God. That's how you justify it. White supremacists and Christian white supremacy and Nazism and Zionism really isn't much difference between any of them. At all. There's not much difference at all between any of them. Right? Just one saying they're Jewish, one of them saying they're the Christian, right? And one of them saying they're Nazis. But all the pillars of it are fundamentally the same. So now let's look at some of these videos and we will rejoice at the regret of some of these enthusiasts.
The November election. Then in February, she was fired from her civil service job.
Absolutely. I feel a little bit betrayed.
She was among more than 125 people dismissed last month from the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
There's always that back and forth conversation now. It's like, you knew this was coming, but we didn't. Like, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives.
No kings, no tyrants, no kings, no tyrants.
The cuts have shaken up a community that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. He won West Virginia with 70% of the vote, one of his biggest victories. But the betrayal felt by Pigott, a church-going conservative and 3-time Trump voter, comes as political analysts are examining early signs of a possible backlash.
3-time Trump voter. You don't vote for Trump 3 times unless you know what he's about. Now, last election, the difference between the last election and the other 2 elections, there's one main difference. Okay? What is it? What was the difference? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Because some folks voted for Trump for the first time last election. What was the main difference between the last election and the other 2 elections? Right? But even still, we said, even at those times, those are bad, some bad votes. That's a terrible idea. Okay, it's a terrible idea to vote for Donald Trump, and it's a terrible idea to vote for Kamala. See, this is the thing, right? Some of y'all, you believe the hype, okay? You believe everything that you're told by the white supremacists, and the hustle when it comes to the white supremacists and their talking points is to believe the opposite until it's proven true. That's the hustle. Black folk know that anyways. The intelligent black people know that anyways. We know that anyways. We've been dealing with these folks. There's not a promise that they keep. There's not a treaty that they keep. There's not a covenant that they keep. You will be doing yourself a great disservice believing anything that comes out their mouth. So when they say something, believe the opposite until you investigate and find out it's true. And this is a Quranic principle as well. Does anybody know the ayah in the Quran that I'm talking about? Somebody put that in the chat. This directly from the Quran. Don't believe them until you verify it. Okay? What ayah am I talking about in the Quran? But I digress. What is the thing that happened in the 2024 election that caused some voters that never voted for Trump to start voting for Trump? And there's one particular thing. But if you voted for Trump for 3 times, you're only voting for Trump because you had to go through Trump's first term where he spent 4 years at Mar-a-Lago. You have to do that. Okay. And he did all that stuff with COVID, right? You have to witness all that stuff. You have to witness January 6th, right? If you voted for him the second time, you have to witness that and still witnessing all of that stuff and thousands of lies and fact checking and all kind of stuff. You have to witness all that stuff and then vote for him for a 3rd time. You would only be voting for him 3 times for one thing and one thing only, right? But as I said, people who voted for him for the first time, they voted for the first time. Why did they vote for him the first time? Somebody put it in the chat. Why did they vote for him the first time? There's one reason if they did. Does anybody know? People who voted for Donald Trump the first time, if they voted for him in 2024, they voted for him the first time in 2024 because of the issue of Palestine. That's it. And black people, if they voted for him the first time, they voted for him because of immigration. That's the only reason. The only reason why you would vote for Donald Trump 3 times is because you are an avid white supremacist. And nobody feels sorry for you. And as a matter of fact, you deserve exactly what's coming to you. And we hope that each and every single white supremacist gets exactly, and we ask Allah in the month of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan, give all of them their just desserts. Ameen. Every last one of them. The hardcore white supremacists, the hidden white supremacists, the white supremacist accomplices. the white supremacist conspirators. When Allah destroys a nation, he doesn't just destroy the nation, he destroys the system with it, and he destroys the people that are pushing up that system. Every nation that Allah destroyed, they had some sort of system that they had propping up some wicked, evil, corruption in the land. What is more corrupt than white supremacy? It is a devilish ideology, a destructive ideology. There has not been more people in human history that have been killed, murdered, rapisted because of this ideology. Zionist military on film, gang rapisting people, gang rapisting on film, recorded, spread out to media outlets. You would think that they would get charged, but no, what happened? The people of that alleged country protested that they were disciplined to begin with. The people came and supported rapisting. They did that. These are God's children. Rather, these are God's enemies.
Republican strongholds like Parkersburg, where the government slashing efforts of Trump and Doge are beginning to hit home.
Elon Musk has basically taken over our government and has calling the shots, unfortunately, it seems to be.
A handful of Republican voters who lost their federal jobs joined Democrats at a recent anti-Doge protest near the Bureau of Fiscal Service offices in Parkersburg. But the federal job losses in the state could soon extend beyond the BFS building, says West Virginia University economics professor John Deskins.
West Virginia is at the very top of the states in terms of the federal workforce as a share of total workforce in the state. So if the federal layoffs happen, if they hit West Virginia, we stand to suffer a disproportionate share when those jobs disappear, when that income disappears, when that spending leaves the state economy.
Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, boo-hoo. The end of this empire it's here anyways. It's already here. We're not waiting for it anymore. And for us, we should be preparing for what's coming. To be honest, we do have the best tools to mitigate the damage with the Quran and the Sunnah. That is actually the best tools to mitigate all the damage. What is happening, though, is that even amongst the wider Muslim society, the messaging behind Islam has been hijacked by con men and grifters. We call them YouTubian Da'i elites. Because their channels now are monetized. They go where the money is. And they modify the entire religion to extract as much advertiser revenue as they possibly can from their channels. So they don't really care about the messaging about the religion. That's why you can find out here talking about Christ as king and Andrew Tate is still Muslim and all kind of craziness. All kind of craziness. I'm talking about, Muslims should listen to Nick Fuentes. This is what they're saying. And what y'all don't know, or you might know actually, is that you see all this YouTube beef between da'is and stuff. When you have one da'i going at another da'i and whatever, that type of content makes them the most money. So they are incentivized for YouTube beefing. They are incentivized for having all of this chaos going on. And that in itself is an incentive to change the actual messaging of Islam. Because the Muslims, they watch that stuff like crazy. All my videos, when I talk about other Muslims, those are the videos that got the most views. Even though on my channel itself, we are dealing with issues with white supremacy and things of that nature, right? And we only talk about Muslims when their messaging is off code to the point where they are in line with the enemies of Allah on earth. So yeah, we talk about, your Daniel Hikikuchus because he's a white supremacist. We talk about your Eddie's from the Dean show because he's a white supremacist sympathizer and agitator. We talk about those folks because this is what they do. And it's our right to do it. Does anybody else talk about their white supremacists? Do you find that a little bit suspicious? That this is so clear and obvious, but not a single one of your YouTubian elites will mention the adjacency between these YouTubers and white supremacy? Not one, not a single one. You don't find that suspicious? How is it that you have all of these white supremacists adjacent and just open white supremacist alleged Muslim influencers? We say alleged. We say alleged Muslim. And we've been saying alleged Muslim influencers. Remember when we said that Daniel Hikikuchu was a closet Shia? Maybe 2 years ago we're saying this, okay? 2 or 3 years ago. We're saying he's a closet Shia. Now all your favorite influencers are saying today, better late than never, I guess. Right? But we were saying it from time when we were saying this. He's a closet Shia. Now all your favorite influencers are saying, you know what? I think Daniel Hikikuchu, he might be a closet Shia. They're saying it now, okay? But they won't call him what he is, a white supremacist infiltrator. They won't say that. Daniel Hikikuchu mastered the art of snitch jacketing. Anybody who opposes him, he instantly says, this is a Zionist agent. This is a agent of the what did you call it? The Rand report. Blah, blah. He always with the quickness, but he's the one who's coming out of Harvard, right? He's the one who says he studied under these Sufi shayukh, but saying that he's Athari, but every sheikh that he studied under was a Sufi. All of them, okay? Sheikh Imaduddin Abu Hijli. He's saying that. How do you get Athari Akida by studying Akida? In his own words, I studied Akida under Sheikh Imaduddin Abu Hijli. How does that make sense? Somebody make sense. Somebody make it make sense. He is the one who worked at Yaqeen and then went independent and then went to AIM and then went to Muhammadiyah. All balancing all. He's the one doing that, but everybody else is the agent. And nobody's making these connections except for the feature. We're the only people that can make the connections here. The thing is, other folks, they know, but they won't say anything because it's profitable for them. It is profitable for somebody who is allegedly Muslim. I say allegedly. I'm going to say it one more again. Allegedly Muslim. Was a big Islamic platform to do compilations and even this back and forth. They make big money off this stuff. That's how it works. But conspicuously, they can't talk about his very, very, very blatant support for far-right white supremacy. They can't say a word about that, which is way more dangerous than any issues he has with Akida. It's far more dangerous than any issues that he has in Akida. White supremacy is an Akida. And it's the worst type of an Akida. It's the Akida of Pharaoh. It's that Akida. Where you put yourself as a god on the earth and you use your divine nature to oppress other people. That is far worse than believing, oh, maybe if somebody worshipped Prophet Jesus, but he thinks he's a prophet, then that's not shirk. You can't tell me that type of shirk is worse than that. No way, man. No, you cannot tell me that. This is why when white folks, they speak, you believe anything they say because of white supremacy. You trust it because it came out of a white man's mouth. That makes it so much worse because in the Quran, Allah commands us that when a fasik, which was the ayah I was alluding to, when a fasik comes to you bringing you news, then verify it. Verify it. That's why I said in the beginning, anything that these white supremacists say, you're better off not believing the opposite until you can verify what they said. Because chances are that they're lying. Not chances, especially in our time. Especially in our time. And they're not even good at their lies anymore. The lies now are getting absolutely ridiculous. They're getting so terrible. But people believe it not because of the veracity and the imagination of the lie. No, they believe it because the lie is monetized. That's it. They believe they can get bones and biscuits by spreading the lie. That's what they believe. May Allah reward you, brother MacMat, for becoming a member. Ameen, a brother or sister. I'm not sure if you're a brother or sister, but may Allah reward you and bless you and multiply for you a millionfold. Ameen. So let's keep watching, family. We're gonna go. We got some time, anyways. Inshallah, it's daylight savings time. Last night, around 1 a.m. Okay, the fire alarm went off in my building. Okay, 1 a.m. I was like dog tired. Okay, like dog tired. Okay, it was just after 1 a.m. Fire alarm went off. It went almost 40 minutes. It was on for a long time. It was like a real incident. So definitely over a half hour. Okay, so didn't get much sleep last night. I had to work today. I went to work, and I knew I was gonna go live today as well, right? I knew that, right? So I didn't get much sleep. I didn't prepare much because I was just too tired, right? However, I wanted to do something in Ramadan that was very, very, very important, and I think, in my personal opinion, right, in terms of what is happening in the world right now, and in terms of our ibadah and getting closer to Allah, I don't see a bigger jihad for us than to fight this particular system. Other than fighting with ourselves and our fasting, we should absolutely making dua that Allah relieve us of this. And Allah will and can relieve us of this, but we have to be the ones doing the work, right? So I worship Allah by fighting these folks. So let's
But in
continue.
Reuters
family.
interviews with 36 workers, business owners, and politicians in Parkersburg, nearly all said that Trump's focus on cutting government spending was a worthy goal. And Reuters Ipsos polling shows Americans' attitude toward Trump are so far essentially unchanged, since he began firing federal workers in February. As of this week, his approval rating was holding steady at 44%.
Cutting costs and waste and fraud and we love that big picture. I love that big picture. My friends, we were excited about that because it is true. But again, I can't help but go back to the fact that what is the decision?
This right here is code that she was happy that Trump was going to get rid of DEI. Okay. That's what that's code for. See, she thinks that getting rid of DEI is going to fire a whole lot of black folk and then just keep the jobs for white people. Right? That's what she's thinking in her. So that's why she's speaking like that right now. Right? Because if you're looking to cut costs and spending, cut waste from the U.S. government, you can start with the billion-dollar contracts that Elon Musk is getting for Starlink and for what's the SpaceX. You can start with that. Didn't they just recently undercut what's that company out there in the States, man? What's that phone company, family? The American one. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They had a government contract. Elon Musk undercut this company and took the contract. Y'all hearing me? So that's what she's saying. She's saying that by cutting cost, she means, thank you, brother. Brother Bilal. He got it. Sort of Hujarat's IS6. That's the one. Verizon. Yes, again, Verizon. Yes, thank you. Brother Bilal is coming through today. Mashallah, mashallah. Right? That's the one. Okay? This is what they do. And but what you got to understand is that white supremacists, they're very happy. They don't want to work with you, and they never have. They never have. Nor will they ever. Their ideology and the way that they think and the culture behind white supremacy doesn't allow them just to work with people on a fair, equal playing field, especially black people. More so than anybody else. They don't want that. They will burn everything to the ground and make sure that nobody gets it before two things happen, before they are equal or lower than anybody else. Okay? Bilal says, I was on IG getting ignored. Sorry, bro. Maybe what I'll do is I'll open up a window for the IG, inshallah, for the next one, inshallah. Right? So, yeah. Anyways. Where were we? That's how they think. They're not people who share. They are people who take, and they believe that it's their God-given right to take. They actually believe that. And ironically enough, many Muslims believe that too. Okay? Let's keep it a buck. Many Muslims believe that it's their God-given right to take. And that's why white supremacy is far worse than anything that Daniel can get you in terms of shirk that he's spewing right now. And not a single one of your YouTube at least want to talk about his close proximity and his promoting actual white supremacists.
decisions that you're
Just keep
making
watching,
right
y'all.
now solving in the big picture? It just so the concept of voting for that again, voting for Elon Musk essentially to wreck people's lives, I can't do it.
The economic impact of the mass dismissals across America may not be immediately felt. So far, 100,000 government workers have been fired or taken a buyout. Parkersburg is bracing for another round of layoffs, with all government agencies ordered to make plans to cut career staff by March 13th.
Oh, boo. Boo.
This is a president who
Watch
campaigned
this,
on
y'all.
protecting, cherishing, valuing veterans. There's been no such consideration given to veterans within the federal government.
That's exactly right. They're saying one thing and doing another. And you ask me how I'm doing, I'm pissed off. And veterans around this country are pissed off, and Americans around this country are pissed off, because it's like every day we're getting another body blow to the soul of America. And here we have not even a public announcement, but a leaked memo that the new VA secretary, who's a pretty radical guy, is now going to lay off 83,000 people at the VA. 25% of them are veterans. Meanwhile, as you cut into the federal government, 1/3 of all of those cuts are veterans. We got the unemployment rate down in the beginning of the year to just over 4%, historic low. We've been fighting for 20 years to get the veterans unemployment rate down. This is going to blow it up. And that's the actual effect.
Now, me personally, I have a lot of respect for soldiers, particularly U.S. soldiers, because of the training that they go through. They go through some of the most rigorous training on earth. Okay. These are people who are absolutely qualified warriors, qualified, killers. They're qualified to do the job that they do. Okay. However, the irony behind all of this is that some of y'all, you're veterans. You know what it takes. Can you imagine what it takes to become, for example, a Navy SEAL? Okay. Navy SEAL, and I think there's something they do, like what's it called, Hell Camp or something like that. I can't remember. Hell Week. It's called Hell Week, right? For the Navy SEAL training, right? You watch some of these videos that some of these guys do for the Navy SEAL training. Okay, right? If you can finish that, if any human being can finish that Hell Week, you deserve respect for sure. You deserve respect. Okay. Can you imagine going through training like Hell Week and then voting for Captain Bone Spurs? Like what? What in the world? You know what it takes to become a soldier, okay? You know what you do, okay? You know your training is no joke. You get the best equipment and the most modern equipment on earth, right? To do your job. Okay? Then you vote for a guy who dodged the draft, talking about he got bone spurs and stuff. Are you kidding me? Like, did your training teach you logic? But again, the reason why they do that is because, as we all know, that when it comes to policing, when it comes to military, many of these guys are actual white supremacists. So they voted for white supremacy, and that's what they did. They didn't vote for logic. They didn't vote for, whatchamacallit, for, principle. They didn't vote for principle. They voted for ideology. And this is what you got. This is what you got. So you got nobody to blame. Like, you know what it is to go into war, go into battle. You know all of this stuff. You do, you go through all the training. Somehow you still come out of it white supremacist. I don't know how you could, go through all of this. If you go to, but anyways, it's the ideology. The ideology in them is so deeply ingrained that they cannot see past things that are completely illogical. Just keep watching, yo.
Effect of what they are doing will have. No matter what they say, watch what they're doing. And right now, the flamethrower that is Doge and Elon Musk is coming straight for the VA.
Is there blowback? For obviously, there's blowback from veterans who've been fired. What about families of veterans, people who voted for Donald Trump in veterans communities? What have you been seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing it come from all sides. And where I've really been seeing it come from is inside the VA for the last couple of months. They're demoralized. They feel beaten down. There's no clarity. There's no certainty. Everybody's waiting for the Doge guillotine to drop and get an email in the middle of the night to find out that they're fired. These are people who are disabled veterans. These are people who've honorably served their country and want to continue to serve their country. But they're also fighters. And I've said this before, I think they're making a bit of a miscalculation because veterans are fighting back. There are going to be protests starting as early as next week. We're recruiting.
Now, this is the other thing that people are not seeing. That despite the fact that they voted for white supremacy, and of course, predictably, it backfired on. Like, who couldn't predict something like this? Like, seriously, okay? At the end of the day, these folks that completed this training from the U.S. military veterans are some of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous people on earth, bar none. You're talking about the best military training in the world. And you want to upset those people? This is not like the Iraq War, when after the Iraq War, the U.S. military disbanded the Iraqi veterans. This is not the same. The U.S. has a spirit of revolution. They have a revolutionary spirit. And if you look at this revolutionary spirit, if you look at the 2 times, and I think there's a 3rd time today, I believe, but I'm not sure. Somebody can check that out, right? But if you look at the 2 times Donald Trump, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, both times that he was the attempted assassination last year, both times, though the assassin, what you call it, the want to be assassins were Trump supporters. They were Trump supporters. These are people who voted for Trump. They were far right. They were ideologues. Those are the ones who are making attempts on not leftists, not Democrats, not Muslims. No, none of the people that Trump hates. Not the immigrants, rather. Trump supporters. Now, you basically started the ball rolling to get probably the largest trained militia against you in order to do what Bilal already said. They want to spark a civil war. That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. I don't know if they want to spark a civil war or what, or if they want to privatize the military apparatus. My belief is that they are moving away from veteranship and military, and making private armies. They're going to move away from FBI, CIA, these type of things, and localize everything. So you're going to have ICE agents. ICE agents is going to be the new military wing for the U.S. So they're going to get out of the business of nation building. That's what I think is going to, except for in one exception, The one single exception is, somebody put it in the chat, please. The one single exception that they will proudly give blank checks in order to expand this colonial project is what? Is what somebody put in the chat. But I digress. So I'll wait for y'all to put that in the chat. The main thing is that they want to get ICE as the new military wing, right? They will spend a lot of money on ICE because ICE is going to be the occupying military. In my opinion, that's why I think it's coming. ICE is going to be the SS. You know how the Nazis had the SS? ICE is that already. It is that, but ICE will be the SS of the United States. Exactly, it's Israel. That's the only project they're going to keep going. That's the only one. They're getting out of the global, basically the global domination game, and they're going to localize domination through the Western Hemisphere. That's what I think is coming. Okay. So you will see U.S. probably split. I mentioned this before years ago anyways. I believe that U.S. will split into different countries. I believe Canada will split into different countries. I believe some parts of Canada will become parts of the American states, and you're going to see several different countries by the end of all this. And I believe it all happened during this administration or something like it. Right? If they don't split into some different countries, it'll seem like the way that they'll operate will be like it's different countries anyways. Like the NAFTA. You see how NAFTA kind of made everything different in the West. It'll be something like this. Right? So yeah, BlackRock under new, and I believe BlackRock will still be around because they are private and they make billions of dollars. Right? But what you have just done is you essentially incentivized a whole bunch of veterans now against you, right? And I believe that is coming. Let's keep watching, yo. Actually, let's get into this other stuff. This other thing here. This other thing, let me just pull this up, yo. 1 second, family. Let me go over here. Now, this is crazy. Watch this, family. We're going to watch this. Some of y'all may have seen this, some of y'all might not have, but watch this, family. Watch. Hold on, let me just go over here. Look at this. Look at this, y'all.
Hey, you gotta respect everybody, bro. Sorry for him disrespecting you. Hey, you gotta respect everybody.
You know what they're doing? These guys are literally fighting over eggs. Fighting over eggs. So you see how the nations of the earth were starved because of the insatiable appetite of Western countries to have the resources of third world nations that they created, by the way. If you look at some of these nations were the richest on the planet. If you look at West Africa, Mansa Musa was the richest man in history. You're talking about Mali, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, that region. That region at one time was all called Mali, the Malian Empire. Okay? He was a rich man in history. Look at it now. If you look at India, when it was run by the Mughals, they were one of the wealthiest nations in history. India, when they're run by the Muslims. Look at India today. Look at India today. They create third world countries. Look what they've done to Haiti. Look what they've done to the West Indies, the Caribbean, South America. That is coming to the USA. It's coming. And probably Canada too. And there's no chance, there's no chance that Europe is escaping that either. No chance. That's coming to Europe. Is absolutely coming to Europe. Watch this, family. Watch this, y'all.
You, egg prices are still sky high, but at least they have leveled out for the time being. This week's average of $8.14 for a dozen is nearly double the price we were paying back in January. That wasn't that long ago.
Now look, that's January 10th. Okay. Trump's inauguration was it 6th? It was January 6th, right? So January 10th is $4.61 USD. Which is still kind of, it's not like for Canadians, a little bit expensive on the expensive side, anyways, right? Then February, $8.10. Then March, $8.15. Now, I believe it's like much more than that. 1 second, let me go over here. We get this one up. Watch this, family. Look at this. People are fighting for, they're losing their minds for eggs.
What's up, bro? Yo. I just came in this morning too. It's fresh. All right, bro. You solid?
You got another dozen?
Bro, you gotta let me know beforehand, bro. I can't keep doing this, bro. I got other drops to make, bro.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Courting. Hope everyone.
Now, do you guys remember COVID? Remember in COVID how people started going bonkers? Yeah, and that's USD, by the way. $8.14 for 12 eggs. Yeah, that's USD. $8.14 USD is, I think, is close to $12 Canadian for 12 eggs. So basically, each egg is about like $1 Canadian. And you see how they're fighting for these. Like they're fighting. Remember when they were fighting for toilet paper during COVID? Fighting. They were fighting for water during, I think, Hurricane Katrina. In Palestine right now, have you ever seen a video in Palestine, in Yemen, in Sudan, of people fighting for food. Fighting. Have you ever seen that? Despite the issues that Muslims have, there's a culture, a universal culture among all Muslims, despite your sect or aqid or whatever, of sharing, of community. You know what I mean? There's this type of universal idea of empathy. I've never in my life, never, even when I was in Yemen, when I had the gas shortage, I didn't see people fighting each other for gas. They might have been wild and National Geographic, right? Because it's still Yemen at the end of the day. But there was not they were not fighting. As a matter of fact, I think I told this story before on this channel that when I was in Yemen, that even if a person that person might eat one meal a day, right? It's common, right? Because people there in Yemen are poor. But he will say tafadal ma'ana. Tafadal ma'ana means come with me, like come eat with me, share this food with me, right? And he's not joking, and that's his only food for the day. That's in Yemen. He seriously wants you to share his one meal he's getting for the day. He wants you to share with him. Can you imagine that happening in the West? Can you imagine that happening in the West? A people who believe that their success is contingent upon the perpetual oppression of you will never share. Never. So how can any believer in Allah, believer in God, with any type of common sense, trust anything that these people say or do? They're showing you who they are in broad daylight, hoarding eggs. Where in the world are you going to put where are you going to put these 50 cartons of eggs? How many fridges and freezers do you have to store these eggs? These are eggs. They could do other things, you know what I mean? They could, say, look, let's do a community food program. Let's do some local, which we talk about this all the time. We talk about, especially for Black folk and Black Muslims, we have to take control of our own food. Since we got here, our food has been controlled. A lot of our staple foods in the Black community, if you don't know, they're what you call slave foods. Like for example, there's things called like pickles, pig's feet, and oxtail. Oxtail is very, very popular now. Very popular and very expensive, right? But oxtail is a traditional slave food. That's the food that the slaves used to eat. Now it's a delicacy. And what you would call cow foot soup and all this kind of stuff. These are slave foods. Chitlins, or chitterlings. They call chitterlings, the white folks say, but in black language, it's chitlins. Okay, chitlins is the guts of the hog, like the insides of the hog. All this stuff is slave food. All this stuff is slave food. So we've been saying on this channel, we need to take control of our food. We need to grow our own food. We can do so. And we mentioned it before. There's aquaponics. Abdul Luxi does aquaponics. There's urban farming. You can absolutely do that. It's sustainable. It's doable. It's cheap. Okay. And it's something that every black masjid should be doing. Sauce, exactly. Sauce is slave food. It's delicious. It's really delicious. If you guys don't know what sauce is pretty much either it's pickled. It's like pickled pig's feet, but it's not pickled. It's like they have lime. They put lime and they put what is the other one? Lime and I believe some brown sugar, a little bit, and chives. Right, but they don't use like vinegar or anything like that. Right, but you could use it. You can use pig's feet or cow feet for sauce, and it's so delicious. Right, but it's slave food. This is what the slave owners used to give the slaves. They didn't give them high up on the animal. They give them the leftovers. You get it? So your food has been controlled for centuries. Centuries. And we need to control our own food. But I digress. Let's see. It's 5 o'clock. I think it's like daylight savings. So we're about 2 hours out from Asr, from Maghrib, but I gotta pray Asr, right? So I'm gonna put the link in the chat if anybody wants to exactly aeroponics, hydroponics, aquaponics. These things are sustainable, and you could do it in the community. You could do it in the masjid. You could support people who are doing it. Then you would have your own food sources. You don't need to go to a supermarket. This is ridiculous. And as a matter of fact, the masajid and black communities, all of them should be doing this. You'd be lifting an incredible burden from your community. Instead of buying, luxury items for the mosque, do this. And on top of that, you're teaching your own youth how to sustain themselves. In my opinion, is an incredibly important thing that we should be doing. Incredibly important. And I don't know why, I don't know. But for us here on the Feachaz, we support that. And as a matter of fact, we have projects in that field as well. So just give me 1 second here, family. 1 second. Let me just get the link, y'all. One second, family. Sauce is without the vinegar. It's lime with the sauce. With the vinegar, it's pickled feet, pickled cow feet, pickled pig's feet. It's different. 1 second, family. So the link's in the chat if anybody wants to hop in before I go make salat. And then I want to exercise too before Maghrib as well. So I want to finish this up, wrap this up. So we get another link up in here as well. So 1 second here.
Well, now the Department of Justice is getting involved as well, trying to crack down on what is really to blame. This as a watchdog group says that those astronomical prices are not just because of the bird flu outbreak. News Nation's Anna Koyman has been following this story for months now. Anna, what are you learning?
Yeah, I've got some explaining to do, don't I? But is there really funny business going on or not? Are corporations using the fear of supply chain shortages to drive up egg prices unnecessarily? Or is bird flu truly the only culprit for your higher omelet bills? Well, on Friday, we learned that the Department of Justice has launched an investigation trying to find some answers and determine if egg producers are working.
Now, the reason why I want to show you this is because she mentioned that the Department of Justice is launching launching an investigation, right? So, mind you, the Project 2025 people, they want you to believe that the reason why they're getting rid of DEI is because you should be hired based upon merit and qualifications, not because of race. That's what they tell you. Mind you, Black people are the least to get DEI hirings. The least. The most is white women. Okay. And then after that is everybody else. And black people get hired through DEI. Maybe I think it's like 1/10 of a percent or something like that. Either 1/10 or 1/2 of a percent. Not even a full percent. Okay. But again, because of anti-Black racism and this fervor for white supremacy, these folks they vote against their own interests. But the DOJ, y'all know who the DOJ is? Let me show y'all. 1 second. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. 1 second, family. Look at this.
Senators today also questioned nominees who will be powerful forces in energy and law enforcement.
Our Lisa Desjardins was on the Hill all day, and she was in the room for the hearing of Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi. Lisa, let's start right there with a reminder of who Pam Bondi is and why her nomination is so important to watch.
Well, Bondi is well known in political circles as a very close ally, longtime friend of President-elect Trump's. But in her own right, she has a lengthy legal resume. Let's talk about it. 18 years as a prosecutor. She's a former Florida Attorney General for 2 terms. Among her priorities then was the fight against the opioid epidemic, as well as some conservative culture war issues. Now, she served on the first impeachment defense team for President-elect Trump. Then she also more recently has done election-related legal work for pro-Trump groups, including filing lawsuits in the most recent election. She's now nominated, of course, to be the top prosecutor in the country and the top law enforcement agent. She would oversee the FBI itself. Most of all, this hearing was about the Republican concern and contention that the DOJ has become politically weaponized against the right. It's a powerful agency, but the thing is, Democrats fear that...
Did y'all get that? Essentially, she's a bulldog. That's what she is. So Trump put her in this position to be a bulldog against his political opponents. And now she has to do some real work. She's stuck doing real work now. She wasn't thinking she's going to do some work, some DOJ work. Y'all are tripping, man. May Allah destroy white supremacy in all its forms, I mean. All right, family. That's it for me. I'm going to go make salat, and then I'm going to go exercise before Maghrib comes in. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. And free the land, beloved. Free the land, free the land, free the land. Subhanakallah, hamdik, wa shahada la ant, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And we will see you. Yeah, we're going to see you tomorrow, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.